All right, y'all, today we're going to take a look at this boudoir photography business. Going to see for its local search and for its city search if it's got BSS, yes or no. And we're back here in the GBC universe where we're taking declining boudoir photographers to the #1 boudoir photographer in their city. As always, our North Star here is FSIC, full spectrum intent capture. More on that pinned post, home video, pinned video, somewhere around here. And that's because FSIC explains why all boudoir photographers either rise or fall. So we got our FSIC graph here in white. Highest intent peeps on the left. These are peeps searching for both boudoir photo shoot in their city today. I focus on them and make videos about actually getting them to come to us. Here, videos about BSS. Over on the right, there's the lowest intent peeps. We talk about getting these peeps to come to us on our sister brand or sister channel, Boudoir FB Ad Doctor, where we talk about BLCS. And currently, over there, we only work with boudoir photographers running more than 10 grand per month in boudoir Facebook ads. So BSS, boudoir search sameness. That's when a boudoir photographer has either 0 or 1 slots on page 1 of Google. Both are bad. 0, extra bad. If we got 0 slots page 1, that means we're page 2 or deeper. And we know approximately 80% of Google searches never even hit page 2. So if we end on page 1, we're visible to approximately 80% of searchers, approximately 80% of buyers, approximately 80% of the market, so the bulk of the market. Bad, extra bad. Also, 1 slot page 1, that ain't good enough anymore. That's bad as well, because guess what? There's 9 other organic slots page 1. Probably going to be 9 other boudoir photographers there, so everyone's got 1 slot. We're looking the same as everyone else. Not standing out, not looking special. So a boudoir buyer, what they're going to do is they're just going to click down, open everyone's website, opens everyone's website up and, literally get a quote, fill out everyone's contact form, get a quote from everyone, price shop, price compare, negotiate, waste everyone's time, blah, blah, blah. And, only 10% of the time we're going to get that person to buy from us. So that other 90% of the time we're wasting it. And 0-1 slots on page 1 Google is actually not normal. It's not normal to have such a small few number of page 1 links on Google search. But it is accepted and it is, commonplace, but it's not normal. It's actually a symptom of 2 deeper root causes. And I know this is normal because I went from 0 out of 10 slots, page 1 of Google search, to 9 out of 10 slots, page 1 of Google search in only 10 days utilizing this new methodology we developed. Now, these 2 deeper root causes here are 1, market saturation, 2, the false belief of page 1 equality. Market saturation, basically everyone knows about that. Over time, people get kind of new devices, new gear, new iPhone, new camera, and eventually people throw up their Google My Business profile, and then they now shoot boudoir, or they throw up their, website saying they now are a boudoir photographer, or they're posting them on Facebook groups that they now offer boudoir photo shoots. So it's more boudoir photographers competing for the same number of buyers makes it harder for every single boudoir photographer. Now, the false belief of page 1 equality, this is new to most people. Very, very, it used to be very common to accept this. Very common to accept that, every boudoir photographer is, gets 0-1 slots page 1 on Google, and either you get it or you don't, and it's not much you can do about it. And even if you had 1 slot on page 1 on Google, well, maybe there's some market saturation, and that slot, that slot goes away, or then you go down to page 2. Well, you got to kind of hope those people leave the market, and then hope Google puts you back on page 1. So it's kind of like a learned helplessness belief, but it's not true. We've learned it's not true because, again, I went from 0 out of 10 slots page 1 Google search to 9 out of 10 slots page 1 on Google search in only 10 days. So we know the false belief page 1 equality. Now we know that it is exactly that, a false belief. We also know that a boudoir photographer with BSS is a disappearing boudoir photographer, DBP. And yeah, dude, if we're on page 2 or deeper, we're invisible to approximately 80% of the marketplace. If we're on page, and if we're on page 1, everyone else has got 1 slot on, all the other 9 competitors got 1 slot as well. So we're essentially invisible as well. So if we're on page 2 or deeper, we're dying fast. If we're on page 1 with 1 slot, we're dying slow. In both cases, we're disappearing boudoir photographer, which actually is kind of like the warning light, the red flag, the canary in the coal mine that tells us our boudoir photography business itself is actually on the path to disappearing. It's now starting down that path. Thankfully, we have discovered a solution though. We've discovered that BSS is treated with social search saturation, aka S-cubed methodology. And it works exactly as it says. We saturate social search with the highest intent boudoir buyer keywords, making sure that we show up there. And what this acts like is basically like the snow at the top of the Andes Mountains, the eastern side of the backside of these Andes Mountains down in South America. The snow up there, what it does is it, all year it's melting into streams, melting, the streams, small streams, it's flowing into small rivers, but it all eventually comes to be collected in the Amazon River. That's where all the water actually comes from. And that page one in Google search is the Amazon River, but we got to first stuff, you know, SQ methodology. We got to first saturate, do social search saturation, put the snow up there at the top of the mountain, so then all those videos, links can flow into page one in Google search. And this is the only solution I've seen for boudoir photographers that can actually enable them to grow during periods where the market's getting more and more saturated every day, and give them that opportunity in a relatively quick time frame. The only other solution I've seen allow people to do that is having a large, well-known brand, but that takes on average, 5 to 10 years. We ain't got 5 to 10 years anymore, dude. AI is here. We need results. We need a opportunity ASAP. And actually, interestingly enough, SQ methodology, by my estimates, can actually help those actually build a large, well-known brand approximately 8x faster than all these other kind of standard ways of doing it, just because we're doing more volume on more surfaces and showing up in the right places way more often over time. It's kind of like a double bonus of utilizing SQ methodology. So example now. All right, so we are right now going to, we're going to Boise, Idaho. And there are 1 million boudoir photographers in Boise, Idaho. We're one of them. Everyone's got a website saying they do boudoir photography. And as a result, everyone's website's trying to rank page one on Google as much as possible. Ultra competitive. We're like, man, we ain't got no large, well-known brand. Literally the only thing left that allows us to compete effectively is SQ methodology. So we decided to crank it to the max, like way more than a average boudoir photographer would. And let's say we're taking up the first, 300 slots of social search across all the social platforms, and then that flows onto Google search. And let's say we're taking up the first 300 organic slots on Google. Well, it's 10 organic slots, per page on Google. So we're literally taking basically the first 30 pages of Google. So whenever a boudoir buyer searches for us anywhere digitally, we basically got like the first 300 slots to ourselves. So we are, basically like, we're basically the only one they can find, whether they're searching social media, they're searching Google, basically the only one they can find. So in this case, they'd have to, scroll to slot 301, or would that be on Google page 31 to find us? And so in this case, whose business is growing? Whose boudoir photography business is growing? Most likely only ours, because they're basically the only one that can be found by buyers. And whose boudoir photography businesses are dying, disappearing, going invisible? Well, most likely the other 999,999 boudoir photographers competing against us in Boise, Idaho. And so this is, kind of an ultra example of what SQ methodology kind of the opportunity it could give to a boudoir photography business, but this is like an ultra extreme version, ultra extreme example version. Now, once shared with SQ methodology, we have page one visibility. So yeah, we're getting more links page one Google search. And the second initial benefit we're getting is every new link we get on page one Google search, good for us. And we're actually kicking a competing boudoir photographer off page one, effectively making them invisible. This is awesome. So we can literally control how many of our competitors on page one of Google search are not organic by our effort in acquiring these organic Google slots. And it's good because these slots have some momentum, not infinite momentum, but they do have some momentum. Unlike Google PPC ads or any ads, that momentum goes to zero the instant you stop paying for them. And let's see. Yeah, so a lot of boudoir photographers like this, they're like kick their competitors off. And page one visibility activates boudoir search visibility for us, BSV. This is where the GBC universe recommends hitting a minimum or having a minimum of 3 out of 10 slots page one Google search as the minimum. More is obviously better. But that's because basically every other boudoir photographer is going to have one. one slot each on page one. So if we got three, we're dominating. Everyone else has got one. We're actually standing out, actually looking unique. And the super rare train, someone has two. Well, we still got three, so we're dominating them as well. So we're basically dominating in all scenarios here. We also know that boudoir photographer with BSV is a visible boudoir photographer, a VBP. So this is our micro universe here. A disappearing boudoir photographer with BSS boudoir search sameness is caused by the dual horns of market saturation and the false belief of page one equality. Thankfully, we now have a solution. Thank the universe. SQ'd methodology. We use that to achieve page one visibility, become a visible boudoir photographer, and have boudoir search visibility. All right, so now my results utilize an SQ methodology. So I actually wanted to rank for this keyword, well, I want to dominate page one for this keyword, BLCS boudoir. So I went to work purely utilizing SQ methodology and see my results. We're going down the organic slots. So organic slot one, Instagram, me. Slot two, me. Slot three, me. Slot four, me. Slot five, me. Slot six, me. Slot seven, me. Slot eight, me. Slot 10, me. And so I went from 0 to 10 slots, Google page one, to 9 out of 10 slots, Google page one search in only 10 days, purely utilizing SQ'd methodology. All right, main event here. Let's see this boudoir photography business, see if they got their local search or their city search, if they got BSS for either of those. So we're going to East Hampton, Mass. All right. Going up here, East Hampton. All right, so let's see what we got here. Dun, dun, dun. All right, we got one. Boom, we got two. Boom, we got three. And all right, so we got, all right, good. Local, we got three. Got our recommended, we do not have BSS. We hit the 3 out of 10 recommended minimum. All right, now we're going to Springfield, Mass. Let's see what we're cooking up here. So, all right, we're at 0 out of 10 for our city search. So we got BSS for this one. So let's see. All right, so local search, we ain't got BSS, and we did reach the GBC recommended minimum. 3 out of 10 slots, page one, Google search. City search, we got 0 out of 10 slots, city search. So yes, we got BSS, and we are not meeting the recommended minimum. 3 out of 10 slots, page one, Google search for the city search. So if you are a disappearing boudoir photographer, meaning you've gone and done your local search and you've done your city search for the highest intent boudoir buyer keywords in your city, and you see, you had BSS for one or both of them, or you're not reaching the GBC recommended minimum of 3 out of 10 slots, page one Google search for one or both of them, and you've accepted that the false belief of page one equality is exactly that, a false belief. You understand Google actually give us as many page one slots on Google as we want to put in the effort to acquire. Your CNSQ methodology is the only path to achieve that, and you've actually been waiting for something like this. You're like, oh my God, finally, yes. And you're liking the initial benefits, more search page one on Google, nice. You're liking the second initial benefit, kicking other boudoir photographers off page one on Google. Yes, awesome as well. All these obviously increasing probability you get clients. You understand the market saturation. Yeah, peeps get more gear, more boudoir photographers enter the market over time naturally. And you're also thinking ahead, like, man, AI is taking a lot of peeps jobs right now already. And, it's going to be taking more and more peeps jobs. And you understand, last time that happened, COVID, people lost their jobs, had to earn money. Everyone's got a super powered smartphone with an awesome camera. So boudoir photography is like the easiest thing for people to enter. So, massive wave of new boudoir photographers coming in as a result of AI. And because of that, you're looking ahead being like, all right, you're realizing you actually have to not only get all these positions on page one, you got to fortify these positions on page one. I have so many links on page one that Google wants to rank on page one for you, but there's literally not enough slots. You got like backup links, page 2, 3, 4, 5, that you need that basically fortify your position, kind of like fortifying the levee down in Nolens, Louisiana, because the city is actually below sea level, fortifying it against the ocean. You realize you got to fortify your positions on Google search with so many backup links that no current boudoir photographer competitor would ever hope to rank on page one, nor any future boudoir photographer competitor coming from AI taking their job could ever rank on page one. And you're saying again, oh, okay, S-cube methodology is the only solution that can provide that benefit as well. And you want to achieve page one visibility, become a visible boudoir photographer with boudoir search visibility, because you know you need these things on your journey to becoming the #1 boudoir photographer in your city. And you're also thinking ahead. Do you understand how S-cube methodology is working? We're basically building up these invisible thematic keyword columns on the back end in cyberspace, basically attached to your brand name, your business's name across all your social handles, kind of intertwined and kind of sticking out, poking out from your business. And you're understanding that every day we successfully execute S-cube methodology, we're actually increasing the probability up here for us to be recommended in AI overview in search. The most premium placement we cannot pay to get this placement with ads. This is the #1 most premium placement we want to achieve. And similarly, the other future benefit is, again, related to AI. Every day we successfully execute S-cube methodology, we're increasing the probability that Boudoir, that AI search apps start recommending us as well. ChatGPT, Claude, Perplexity, Microsoft Copilot, Google Gemini. Every day we're kind of building up this back end keyword momentum, AI mindshare momentum for these highest intent boudoir buyer keywords in our city, increasing the probability we get recommended AI search. I remember the last time I did AI search for boudoir photographer in a city, it returned me 3. This was with ChatGPT. I actually went and manually searched that city. Dude, there's around 60 searched on Google and Facebook. And so it's like, we got to get this one of these 3 slots in AI search, or however many slots there are as possible, because AI search is increasing every single day, and standard Google search is decreasing every single day. So you're liking those, but there's those future benefits. You're also liking that, kind of estimated increase probability of building a brand. A well-known brand is estimated to be approximately 8x faster, which the brand helps insulate against market saturation. And also, I imagine you got a brand and you're continuing to use S-cube methodology, because you understand that my current plan is to only work with one boudoir photographer per city. So you understand you can actually kick out all your competitors from utilizing this technology, and you can get all these benefits, initial and future benefits, build a brand faster, prevent your competitors from using it, build a massive gap in like AI mindshare, backend AI keyword mindshare, to be recommended for AI search and AI overviews, and build a massive gap that basically your competitors will never be able to touch or intrude upon. And that's why I've decided to be a first mover, because you know that conversely, if one of your boudoir photographer competitors would just be in your city would sign on with me first, then what would actually happen is they would get all those benefits. You'd be kicked off page 1, maybe even kicked off page 2 as well, relegated to page 3 or deeper. You would be losing, basically building up no AI mindshare, while me and your competitor are building up massive momentum, massive AI mindshare in the back end, invisible thematic keyword columns over and over and over again, reinforcing that repetition, relevance, authority, age, increase in probability. They build that up on us. And as a result, we actually, me and your competitor building up this massive gap, and you would not have access to our technology. So what you'd have to do is you'd have to recreate S-cube method, rederive it for yourself. And you would never actually be 100% confident you've derived it correctly. You would then have to execute it equally to us every single day, put in the time and effort to do that. And if you were to do that, you're simply maintaining the gap, meaning your competitor already have, way ahead of you. So you'd have to actually double or triple our output every single day to be able to start pulling back the AI keyword mindshare back towards you, away from me and your competitor. And again, you would never be 100% confident you've actually derived the methodology correctly. So probably wouldn't feel confident putting that much time into it. And then even if you did, who's got 80 hours per day to be doing all this effort. So you decide, screw that, you're gonna be the first mover. Get all these benefits, initial benefits, future benefits, prevent your competitors from using this technology. So if that's you, shoot us a DM. Our DMs are currently closed. The hospital is not currently accepting new patients. So when the hospital does come to open back up to accept a new patient, shoot us a DM. We will see if you qualify for utilizing our S-cubed methodology.